introduced. I've been a journalist for I think, inordinately long time, 40 years now. Maybe you have, that's maybe longer than your life, I suppose.
Oh, no. I'm a little older than that. So that's very kind. That's very kind of you.
No, you don't look it. So
Yeah.
pleasure to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you too. Thank you very much for allowing me to be on today. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure. I don't know if you know a little bit about us, or I can quickly tell you what we are so that you have a handle on what you're dealing with.
Okay.
We are a new radio station started by Manan happens to be my first cousin, in fact.
Oh, really? Okay.
I came from Chicago to help him out, and I oversee the overall operations. But my specialty has always been the hard news for about 40 years. I used to report out of India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and now America. So it's a long career. So let me start without much wasting your time. I'm curious, for someone who was a county commissioner for 8 years,
yes,
dealing with hands-on local issues, how do you scale up from that to state representative, and what are the challenges that you face?
So it's really interesting. As a county commissioner, I would get asked all the time about creating laws or pass a law for the county. But county commissioners are actually an executive branch of government. You know, you have your three branches of government. You have your judicial, you have your executive, and you have your legislative. The legislative branch that deal, at the county level is the state legislature. So the state house and the state senate actually pass the laws that are implemented at the local level, at the county level, by county commissioners. Mm-hmm. So I was in 8 years in this executive branch of government, where every day we had to deal with different things that were occurring at the state house and how it would impact us here in Hamilton County. So with that experience, I realized just how impactful a state legislature is. And if we look at our lives for the last 6 months, we can feel just how much state government has been involved in whether or not we can work, whether or not we can go to a restaurant, whether or not our kids can go to school. I mean, it's just been incredible to see just how impactful state government can be in our daily lives. So for that reason, I decided to join this race, this campaign to become a state representative for my district, which is District 28, House District 28. So just to give you and your listeners just an idea of where this is located within Hamilton County, it's in the northeast corner of the county, and it comprises of 13 governmental jurisdictions. So it has a small neighborhood within Springfield Township called Pleasant Run Farms. That's the farthest west it goes. And then it's all of the city of Forest Park, Green Hills, Springdale, Glendale, Sharonville, Evendale, Sycamore Township, Montgomery, Madera, Blue Ash, Deer Park, and Reading. So those are communities that comprise District 28. And for me, it's an area I grew up in. So I actually went to school. I went to school here. I went to Moeller High School over in Sycamore Township. And one of my first jobs actually in high school, or right when I was getting out of high school, was working at Bethesda North Hospital over in Montgomery. So I was working down in a kitchen there, doing food service. Great job, great experience. And then I've worked here further than that. I've worked as an engineer at General Electric Aviation for over 24 years. And I've also raised my family here. So the last 9 years, we've been living in Glendale. And so to me, this District 28 is my home. And it's where I've grown up, and friends and family are here. And to me, I'm excited to go to Columbus and provide strong leadership for our communities, so that, especially as we've seen for the last 6 months, just impactful state legislation has been in our lives, to make sure that we have some common sense up there and fighting for our communities.
Right. I was going to ask this a little later, but I might as well. You mentioned your specialty in aeronautics as an engineer.
Yes.
I know for a fact that engineers always bring that engineering discipline in whatever they do. How do you apply that, especially aeronautics, which is a very special science? Do you ever think in terms of applying that knowledge to your public life?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Being an engineer in government is, I think, a great thing. I think we should have more science and technology people running for government office because it's a different way of how you look at things. I solve problems for a living.
Right.
I am we have problems and have to figure out how to solve them. And I think that type of problem solving skill set is really important in government in trying to come up with ways, and not the traditional ways, right? That you've always seen done by politicians over the last decades, but rather trying to think outside the box and come up with new ways and using critical thinking skills of trying to come through a problem solving process to say, what is the best way to solve this? And for my training as an engineer, so I have my bachelor's from Purdue University,
Right.
where I got my undergrad in aeronautical and astronautical engineering. And then I got my master's at the University of Cincinnati. So, to me, having that skill set, and also I'm a certified master black belt in Six Sigma.
Really?
So the process of trying to lean out process, yes, which is something I always wanted to bring to government, is how can we lean out our processes? Because
Right.
that's all about finding waste.
Yeah.
And I mean, unfortunately in government, there is quite a bit of waste that occurs.
Right.
And how do you go about and trying to lean out our processes to make them more effective? And I've been trying to do that. I've got an example at the county level when I was county commissioner. Our building department, they do building inspections and various types of permitting, that we were getting complaints from businesses about how slow it took. I mean, it could literally take months to get the permits in place for a business to open up. And meanwhile, other counties around us, Warren County, Butler County, Claremont County, they were getting those permits completed in weeks, if not days. And so in order to compete, we need to figure out how we could lean out the process and make it simpler. So we brought an outside person in from the development industry and said, look at our processes. How do we make them simpler? How can we cut red tape? And we actually kind of nicknamed them the red tape cutter. That position was created to come in and lean and transform that department, which cut our time down in getting those permits. And we got a lot of positive feedback from the development community saying, you're making the right moves, you're moving in the right direction. And so to me, that's taking those engineering skills and applying it to government and trying to improve our processes. But it's not always easy, that's for sure.
I'm sure, speaking of not being easy, I was going to ask you whether your problem-solving impulses often run into ideological obstacles.
It does, unfortunately, yes. Because to me, I'm trying to look at data and I'm trying to get the data to make the best decisions. But at times, and I've seen it on both sides, my Republican colleagues and my Democratic colleagues, that it will run afoul to say, no, there's a political issue here that you have to take into account. So, which can be frustrating at times, because to me, it's like it would make sense. This is the right decision to do, but there's some political, involvement around it that makes it not that easy. So you're absolutely right.
This is flowing rather well. That sets me up for the next question, which is we are going to the worst pandemic in over a century now. How do you think that's impacting the way political messaging is done in these times, especially when you're preparing to contest?
From a campaigning perspective, I've been running for office for over 2 decades now. And this has been the most incredibly interesting campaign and frustrating, because we started back at the early part of this year doing our door-to-door knocking, meeting voters, going to different events, different community gatherings. And as of March 13th, everything was shut down. And for 3 months, we couldn't do anything. We couldn't gather. We couldn't go to different community events. They were all canceled. Parades, that's a big thing. We used to do all these different parades in the communities, which was so much fun because you could be out and meet folks. All canceled. In the various festivals and community gatherings that we were planning to go to are canceled. So for us, is really difficult because it's not your traditional campaign. So we had to move to social media. So a lot of people were on their computers, were on Facebook and social media. So we're using that medium to get our message out during those 3 months of March, April, and May. And then we started back up in mid-June going out and going back to doing our lit drops in neighborhoods and going out and seeing voters. And it's picked up more of the community events. There was actually a parade. We did a 4th of July parade at in Montgomery, Ohio, one of the communities in my district. And it was at Sycamore High School. And it was a reverse parade. So all the participants stood and cars drove past us. So in a very, public safety, healthy way, which was incredible. I got the cars, they wouldn't stop. It was supposed to be for 2 hours and they had to extend it, I guess, another half hour because there were so many cars lined up outside the high school parking lot at Sycamore High School to see all the different participants. So tremendous job by the city of Montgomery, a lot of fun. But that was trying to come up with a unique way to still be able to do something that everybody wants to celebrate, a holiday, a national holiday. So that was a lot of fun. And now I think we've gotten more back into some more of the community events. I've been to a few this week that are occurring more as people are feeling more comfortable in the environment. But the campaigning has totally not been anything we've experienced in my past 2 decades of campaigning here in Hamilton County.
Right. One of the key aspects of your career, even as an ideology, it's been fiscal responsibility. At a time of this pandemic, when the governments are expected to come under pressure for extra public services at all levels, is that a challenge for you as a conservative to balance public service with fiscal responsibility?
Well, I think at the end of the day, any public servant needs to understand, one, you're using other people's money. It's not your money. And you can't spend what you don't have. So just being able to be mindful of that as being fiscally responsible, that you're really dealing with other people's money. I mean, when people give me money, I want to protect it. I want to make sure that it's being used wisely. So those have always been kind of my principles in dealing with government spending. Because, I mean, at times, like in this pandemic, we do have to spend money. We do have to do things from protecting folks with protective equipment to making sure that folks are being, who are out of the job, that they're getting benefits so that they can still keep their households running and families running, as well as grants and loans to businesses, small businesses, to make sure that they're staying open. So to me, you got to balance that of your spending with what you really have within a budget and make sure that you're not over promising and being able to a point where you just don't have the money there. And it's always, they say it's always easier to spend other people's money. To me, it's not, because it's a trust. I mean, it's a public trust that they're giving their taxpayers, hard working. I mean, people working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, trying to make ends meet. That's their hard-earned money. And we should do everything in our power to make sure that we're spending it wisely and effectively and getting the most bang for that tax dollar back to the taxpayer. And that's something that I always try to do. And then balancing that is important. But I think the 2 principles is that, it's somebody else's money. You need to take care of it. And you can't spend what you don't have. You got to stay within your budget.
The way you are describing things, you obviously strike me as a reasonable, rational person who deals in facts. Unfortunately, and this is an independent person's observation, we have gone through a time where facts really haven't mattered much at the federal level. I don't want to trap you in any controversial pronouncements, but say, for instance, I was quite unsettled by the fact that you have a leader who openly says that he may not accept election results. And one can only up to a point think in terms of grandstanding or some macabre humor. But I think it's come to a level where people are really generally alarmed at what's your view on that?
So I think, unfortunately, we're in an environment now where who do you go to for news? Who do you go to for facts on a certain issue? And I think people are struggling. I mean, I ask a lot of my friends and I hear Facebook as one of their answers, or, talking to their friends and family or coworkers. To me, I think that, hearing statements like that, we don't, I'm guessing, in my opinion, that they're going to accept the results of whatever which way it goes. And that, that at the end of the day, our Constitution's in place for a reason, and it'll be followed, and it'll be adhered to. And whoever wins or loses in November, there'll be a peaceful transition in January. We've done it for 200 years. We will continue to do that. And that's I think we're so blessed as a country to have this Constitution and to move forward. So unfortunately, I think we do have statements that are being put out there. And is it tongue in cheek? I'm assuming as such, based on some other ones I've heard. But I think what's really missing is some of that factual, what is the truth that's really hurt us in I think in our society. And it's disappointing because, for us and government, the press was always the fourth estate. It was it was the one that's supposed to keep us in line. And which, I've always felt they did a great job doing it. And unfortunately, I've seen examples now where, it's what is actual opinion versus fact and truth. And that's been blurred, and it's disappointing. And I think we need to get back to where we were in that regards to getting the facts out to, the people and making sure they understand what is happening.
Absolutely. In fact, that's been our endeavor at Bharat FM. Although we are a very small radio station, I bring my personal weight as a journalist of long-standing to go purely by facts and nothing else. Anyway, coming to the specific point of the Indian American community, I think it's about 105, 106,000 in Ohio generally.
Mm-hmm.
It's grown about 48% since 2010. What kind of interactions have you had as you campaign? Have you started the outreach? Or are you just starting it? Where are you?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been working with the Vice Mayor of Blue Ash. PJ is just an incredible individual. He's been helping us. He endorsed me early on in my campaign. I mean, that's one of the neat things that we've done within our campaign compared to my opponent. It's just how much local elected officials have endorsed me, from township trustees to city council members to mayors and vice mayors, and having PJ's support has just been incredible. And I'm very, very blessed to have that. And just, friends within the, Indian American community. I work at GE. I have quite a few fellow engineers who are there and just, I've been lucky to work with them and just tremendous, opportunities to learn. And, not to mention we have a center over in Bangalore that we, engineering center that I deal with on a daily basis. And yeah, and we have, I've been trying to balance meetings because I feel bad when I set up a meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning here, because it's literally like, I guess 7 or 8 o'clock at night over in India. So we try to balance them out and have meetings at night here. And especially with the pandemic and being able to work at home, it's much easier now to be able to do a call at 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, to respect the time differences, because I'm just amazed at the work ethic of our engineering community over in India and the hours they put in and the effort. It's just been tremendous. Yeah. I don't think they sleep. I honestly don't, because I'm trying to figure out, they're always on when I'm on, and I'm like, wait a minute, it's almost midnight. Why are you still up and answering your email? Go to bed, So they're just a tremendous just resource for us, and so lucky to work with them because they are so dedicated.
Interesting you should mention GE, because GE was a pioneer in terms of outsourcing in the 80s.
Yes.
I've been tracking, and in fact, GE chief was the first one to get into that game, and they were the pioneers. So interesting that you have that long connection with India in that sense.
Oh yeah. Jack Welch, our CEO, went over and set that up, and it was brilliant, and it is great because I think he saw the potential. And like I said, I've been able to work with so many fine engineers in India, and just the tremendous work ethic and dedication that they have to GE is just incredible. So
beyond political relations between India and the United States, since you deal with, as I said, hands-on, nitty-gritty, solvable issues on a daily basis as an engineer, are there interesting new areas that you think India and US can work on for the 21st century?
Absolutely. I think from a standpoint of, being able to look at our technologies, not only in my own aviation world, but also in energy. in healthcare. I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunities that we can partner with India and be able to, develop just businesses as well as our individual countries. And I think there's a great opportunity that I feel. I mean, India is the largest democracy in the world, and just an open opportunity for us to work together on some of these key issues. I mean, just transportation in general. I know the locomotive engines that GE produces, is very important to the economy in India. And I think those type of industries are ones that I think we can partner with and be able to be successful. And would love to see, open trade and free trade between our two countries, and to be able to develop what I think would be a great hub and partnership of those type of economic developments of healthcare, aviation, energy, transportation. I mean, those trademarks that I think are trends for going forward in our world's economy.
Right. A last couple of questions. One is somewhat specific to the community, in the sense they have been somewhat worried about a trend in several cities where motions have been passed when it comes to the issue of Kashmir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These are seen by a section of the community as seriously anti-India. Have you personally been aware of those trends, or if
I've heard about them, and it's disappointing to hear. To me, I think when you look at the issue there, I mean, India, we should be supportive of in the Kashmir region, and I think doing anything and getting involved in those type of issues aren't helpful. When I was on Cincinnati City Council, we passed these resolutions that it's like it has nothing to do with city government. So why are you getting involved in these world issues? That let's figure out how to fill our potholes and pick up our garbage and make sure our police have the resources to get their job done. Why delve into issues that we have no idea about? I'm not living there. I'm not from there. I didn't grow up there. I have no idea of the issues involved. Why pass some resolution that really is none of our business? And really, we should, look at who is honestly supportive of us and helpful of us, which is the Indian people. I mean, it's just been incredible partnership. I remember President Trump's visit, and just the crowds and the outpouring of support was incredible. And to see that, to me, just shows a great relationship that's been developing between the people of India and the United States. And we need to continue that. And passing these resolutions is not helpful whatsoever.
And in conclusion, what are your expectations out of the race? Obviously, you think you're going to make it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course, you expect to win. We're working incredibly hard,
Okay.
and we're excited. There's a clear distinction between myself and my opponent. If you just look at our records and our policy positions, I mean, she's put out about supporting the Bernie Sanders and the Nancy Pelosi's and the Joe Bidens. I mean, she's part of Joe Biden's election team. And to me, those policies that are very radical, that are very extreme, very partisan, aren't helpful for the state of Ohio or for our District 28. She supports defunding the police. I mean, she's not supportive of giving the police resources that they need to do their jobs. She supports raising taxes, having higher taxes and more government programs like the Green New Deal that, would not be helpful for our economy at all. And, from a standpoint of looking at it and what I believe in of, supporting lower taxes, supporting smaller government, supporting our police, making sure that they are funded and they have the resources necessary to protect our communities. I think it's a clear choice when you look at and give it to the voters of who do you want up in Columbus supporting you, especially, someone who's, in my regards, been able to get things done locally and produced results here in Hamilton County. My opponent has been ineffective in getting state legislation passed up in Columbus, and she's been absent. I mean, one of the biggest votes, House Bill 6, the one that was the energy bailout that was, scandalous with the bribery of the former House Speaker, she didn't even show up for that last vote. A $6 billion vote, and you don't even show up. So for me, someone who's ineffective, absent, and extremely partisan is a clear distinction between my campaign, where I'm going to be supportive of the police, supportive of making sure that we get results, and that I will show up for District 28 and up in Columbus every day.
On that note, Mr. Monzel, I want to thank you for your time. It was wonderful talking to you, and I will do two things. One, send you an audio file of this interview as well as the video file. So
Okay.
want to use it for whatever purpose you're free to do it. And this will be broadcast on Monday morning as part of my daily news show called Suhani Subha, which literally means lovely morning. And I will notify you of the time. So if you want to hear it while it's on or even after that,
Okay.
we will run the video on Facebook page simultaneously. So that's
Well, that's
about it.
incredible. I really appreciate the opportunity to meet you and speak with you today. And thank you for this opportunity. It's really great. And just that, the great speaking with you and having a great conversation this morning.
Likewise. Thank you very much and all the best for your campaign.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.